Hello, everybody. Okay. So today we are going to move forward with the topic of gender psychology. And from tomorrow onwards, the classes will commence on time. ठीक है, पहला दिन था, मेरे लिए भी थोड़ा सा unusual था. So regarding this topic, you need to be more personal, because the topic is gender psychology. It's very difficult that the topic can be given equal type of treatment by both boys and girls. So when it comes to gender psychology, girls will have a separate or a different perception. Boys may have a different perception. And unless and until you are truthful to what you write, what you believe in, you cannot exactly fulfill the expectation of the examiner. So it's basically regarding both boys and girls, that whatever you consume in gender psychology, you should be totally convinced with that. Okay? Set aside your gentlemanship. Set aside your gentlemanship. Like I said, I never offer any seat to any lady in the bus or a train or something like that, unless and until she is quite senior and looking for a seat. Because I consider genders to be equal at par. मैं कम नहीं समझता हूँ, उल्टा कई बार मैं ज्यादा समझता हूँ, तो उल्टा मैं मांग लेता हूँ मुझे बैठने दो. क्या दिक्कत है भाई? अच्छा एक मिनट, अगर आप में से कोई बैठे हो सीट पे, मैं बुजुर्ग आदमी हूँ, मैं आपसे सीट नहीं मांग सकता क्या? मांग ही सकता हूँ. इस बात का क्या मतलब है कि आप लेडी हो तो मैं आपसे नहीं मांग सकता? ठीक है. सो यू हैव टू गिव इट अ वेरी फेयर ट्रीटमेंट. Otherwise, the examiner might be a woman and she might catch your gentlemanship. जब भी आप gentleman बनते हैं ना, वो दिख जाता है. So, anyways, अच्छा मुझे लिखना बोर्ड पे है ना, सब उल्टा पुल्टा हो गया, day before yesterday, I was taking your classes and it was 3 classes. Means after psychology, there were 2 more GS classes. And what happens, at least in this area, I have some freedom to move. And at home, I had to stand in front of the podium. I can't just move. So suddenly, my right feet got swollen. It became like elephant feet. So yesterday, I went for thorough medical testing, all type of tests, all reports were normal. And therefore, it was concluded that because if you stand for 6 hours in one single place, it will lead to swollen legs. मेरा पैर फूल गया था ऐसा, और मेरी बेटी परेशान की, ये क्या हो गया पापा को? She was the one who oiled my feet and blood circulation बढ़ा के फिर normal हुआ, नहीं तो जूता अंदर नहीं जाता है. Anyways, so in gender psychology, the type of gender discriminations that we are talking about, one of the type, I guess it is number 7, is self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. A very, very important concept in psychology. Self-fulfilling prophecy is based on the belief that expectations have a nasty habit of confirming themselves. Expectations have a nasty habit of confirming themselves. We get from our lives whatever we expect. Expectations have a nasty habit, dirty habit of fulfilling themselves. This is called self-fulfilling prophecy. So what happens when you expect something? You work on that expectation. And when others see you working over some expectation of yours, they start supporting you in your efforts. And it happens like a, I would say, magnetic effect. All people who care of you, all people who are concerned of you, either friends or enemies, they start working on your expectation. It seems that entire universe is conspiring to favor you, right? And ultimately, whatever you expect, you get it. Okay? So this is also known as Pygmalion effect, which effectively I will be teaching you in the work psychology and motivation. But you understand in a nutshell what is this. Suppose you have a servant, a domestic help, who is a certified stupid person. Certified stupid. Everybody knows, he knows, you know. Now you tell him, you give him a piece of work and tell him, see, this is a work, you need to do it. I don't expect much from you. Just get it done. He will put in only that much effort which is necessary to get it done. He will somehow do it. And the other way is, you tell your servant, well, you are the best man on earth to do this job. And then you see how he does that job. He will give his best. Now, this is self-fulfilling prophecy. So whatever you expect from others, you get it from them. So if you convey a lower level of expectation to others, you get a lower level of performance from others. But when you expect a high level of performance, you end up getting a high level of performance. Now, self-fulfilling prophecy often leads women to soft pedal their careers. Soft pedal their careers because they have developed very low expectations from themselves. And why have women or girls developed lesser expectation from themselves? It is because of the parents and teachers. Parents and teachers. Martin Horner, who is a feminine psychologist, found that parents convey or parents have very low level of expectation from their daughters as compared to their sons. So if you ask an average parent, what do you think about your son's future? They would say, I wish my son should be a doctor, engineer, IAS, IPS, etc. And then about daughter, well, let her complete her graduation and thereafter we are planning for her marriage, and after marriage, whatever her in-laws prefer, she can go for that. Now the girl child at a younger age, very quite young age, has been listening to this while growing up. And what is the kind of expectation she will have from herself? Well, my brother is more talented than me. So my brother can become an IAS officer. I somehow could pass graduation, that will be enough for me. So she soft pedals her target. She does not use the fullest potential that she has. And as a consequence, when you see the achievers, the list of achievers, you find women lagging behind as compared to men. And that justifies the narrative that we are living in a patriarchal society. Okay? That justifies the narrative that we are living in a patriarchal society. Now here, I would like to tell you about the teachers and the behavior of teachers. The over-solicitous behavior of teacher with a failed girl student leads to self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, Horner found that when a male student fails in the exam, the teacher is likely to hold him accountable for the failure. For example, suppose a male student will fail, the teacher will say, how dare you fail? Didn't I teach you? Fail कैसे कर गए? पढ़ाया नहीं था क्या? ठीक है? Very harsh treatment. Now, what does this convey? This conveys that, well, my teacher did not expect me that I fail. That means I had all the abilities to pass. So I failed because I did not put in much effort. So next time, let me put more effort and let me prove that, yes, I rise up to your expectation. This is the kind of expectation a boy student will gain from the treatment given by the teacher. But when a girl child fails, over solicitous behavior of teacher, like, कोई बात नहीं, होता है, इसमें क्या बात है? The teacher is being kind to the girl student. But what is the message he conveys to the girl student? होता है, मुझे तो पता था, मुझे ज्यादा उम्मीद भी नहीं थी तुमसे. These are unsaid conversations that goes conveyed in the mind of the girl student. कि चलो, teacher is not shocked, he's not surprised that I failed. It means I do not have those abilities. I lack those abilities. Now, this leads to self-fulfilling prophecy, and this leads to soft pedaling of career. Okay? So, another kind of gender discrimination, self-fulfilling prophecy, conveying very lesser expectations from the girl child. 8th type of gender discrimination is concealing competence behind the helpless mask of femininity. Concealing competence behind the helpless mask of femininity. Success has been customarily associated with masculinity. Success has been customarily, traditionally associated with masculinity. Therefore, when a woman gets success, when a woman becomes successful, she faces the social stigma of lacking femininity. She faces the social stigma of lacking femininity. This leads to development of Jonah complex given by Maslow. This leads to development of Jonah complex given by Maslow. Jonah complex means fear of success. Maslow identified this complex, Jonah complex, fear of success. ठीक है? Like yesterday, the Nightingale of India passed away. And she was very generous towards the new younger artist. जितने भी नए younger generation के artists थे, उनको promote करती थी. So she would take the new generation artist with her in the stage. And the new artist failed to perform in presence of her. This is Jonah complex. कि लता दीदी के बगल में बैठ के कैसे गा सकते हैं, तो जो गाना आता था वो भी नहीं गा पाए. Are you getting it? So, fear of success. So what happens when a man is successful? He is celebrated in the society because success is customarily associated with masculinity. But if a female is breaking away from the traditional housewife or homemaker's role and becoming a competent woman and becoming successful, a lot of stigma exists in the society against her. Okay? Many a times, even her character is assassinated by the society. that she is successful because she's a woman. Had she not been a woman, she would not have reached this success. As it happened, as I said, with Barkha Dutt, who got access to the bunkers in army during Kargil war. People assassinated her character. Now, because of these reasons, also women soft pedal their targets. They conceal their competence. They don't show their fullest potential out of the fear of being successful and then stigmatized by the society. बहुत नाम हो जाएगा, चर्चा हो जाएगा, फेम हो जाएगा, तो बदनाम भी करेंगे लोग मुझे. तो वो क्या करते हैं, अपने कॉम्पिटेंस को कंसील करना शुरू करते हैं. ठीक है. Attribution to success. Attribution to success. How we attribute the cause of success to what factors? Now, according to cognitive dissonance theory, human mind is a coherent whole in which all the cognitions and attitudes are held in a state of mutual consistency. We have already learned that human mind is a coherent whole. इसमें विरोधास्पद नहीं हो सकता है कोई भी दो थॉट्स. ठीक है, सब सिंक रहते हैं. Now, one of the popular belief held by human being, that is cognition number one, is women lack competence. Now, this is the popular belief. Women lack competence when compared to men. ठीक है. Now you get a new information. A woman is successful. Now one of the women has become successful. Now women lack competence and women is successful cannot coexist simultaneously in the mind because they are not mutually consistent. To remove this cognitive dissonance, so this will create cognitive dissonance. To remove this cognitive dissonance, if you remember Festinger's theory, we will add a new cognition. Maybe she is lucky. So where are we attributing the cause of her success? Not to her merit, but to her luck, external factor. A kind of fundamental attribution error. A kind of fundamental attribution error. Now, all these discriminations that we have discussed so far, these are discriminations with regards to competent women. Competent women are those who have broken free from traditional roles of housewives, have gone outside to work in masculine endeavor. Now, you can also add discrimination against domestic women. Domestic women means housewives, homemakers, right? And the best examples will obviously come from India. Like what I can think of discrimination against women at my home is that my mother eats at last and therefore the least. Okay? My mother eats at last and therefore the least. According to medical prescription, she should be the one who should be eating the first in the family. लेकिन मजाल है कि उनको पहले कोई खाना खिला के दिखा दे. Unless every member of the family has eaten, she would not eat. Now, I can't वो बच्ची तो नहीं है कि मैं उनको जबरदस्ती मुंह में डाल दूं, वो मैं नहीं कर सकता. I have my limits. I can only request her, but she would refuse to all request because that is what she has learned over the years. So she will eat at last, and therefore she will be eating what is left. A kind of gender discrimination that is found in every Indian family, I guess so. In most of the Indian family, you will find this. Okay? The mother eating at the last and therefore the least. Number two, the source of income or the income, finances or economic assets are always in the hand of man. Okay? Are always in the hand of man, and women are deprived of basic finances. And their contribution to the overall economy of the family is often overlooked, not overseen, overlooked. For example, my wife is a homemaker. So when somebody asks, are you working? Where are you working? She feels ashamed. And she would say with her eyes down, नहीं, मैं तो बस घर ही संभालती हूँ. तो मैं उनको कहता हूँ कि आपको शर्म की क्या बात है इसमें? You imagine if I was not married, then what would be my expenses? Let me tell you something. I would need somebody to take care of my house, at least 20,000 a month. Somebody to take care of my clothes, laundry, 5,000 to 6,000 a month. Somebody to cook for me, at least 13,000 to 14,000 a month. क्या मैं गलत बोल रहा हूं? And somebody to take care of my health, maybe a nurse, 10,000 a month. So I said, your net worth at present in my life is 1 lakh rupees a month. So because of you, I save 1 lakh rupees a month. But this accounting is never done by my CA, nor Government of India, nothing. So it's not true to say that a homemaker has no contribution in the economy of the family. She has a very major contribution, but her contribution is unnoticed. वो दिखता नहीं है, लेकिन वो होता है. उनके होने की वजह से ये सब होता है. अच्छा, दूसरा कि if you hire people, they will never take care in that manner what your family person can take. ठीक है? अभी शादी से पहले मेरा कपड़ा धोबी धो के लाता था, धोबी के यहाँ से धुल के आता था. 1 साल के अंदर में हर कपड़े में छेद हो जाता. आई डोंट नो व्हाई. मतलब आयरन करेगा तो ऐसा हार्ड आयरन करेगा कि सफेद हो जाएगा कपड़ों में, कपड़े खराब, हर चीज खराब हो जाता था बहुत जल्दी. ठीक है? So that's the personal care which they give, but their contribution is often unnoticed. Third, there is, ये मेरी फैमिली की बात थी, there is a strong preference for a male child, a boy child in India. In India, there is a strong preference for a boy child. Therefore, when a woman gives birth to a girl child, she is stigmatized. She is stigmatized. And according to Dr. Sudhir Kakkar, Dr. Sudhir Kakkar is a psychoanalytical theorist. Sudhir Kakkar of Delhi University. अब इनके बारे में थोड़ा मैं आपको बता दूं. बहुत कंट्रोवर्शियल फिगर है. जहां भी जाते हैं हंगामा मारपीट हो जाता है. ठीक है? ये बहुत कंट्रोवर्शियल आदमी, मतलब ये बोल्ड है, फ्रैंक है, फ्रॉइड की तरह. ये साफ साफ बोल देते हैं. According to him, the greatest enemy of females are the females themselves. ठीक है? So if the daughter-in-law has given birth to a girl child, it is the mother-in-law who starts abusing the daughter-in-law. ठीक है? तो मदर इन लॉ सपोर्ट नहीं करती गर्ल चाइल्ड को. ठीक है? You must have heard about the quarrel that takes place between daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law. Have you heard about quarrels taking place between the father-in-law and the daughter-in-law? शायद ही नहीं, शायद कभी नहीं. ससुर और बहू में कभी झगड़ा नहीं होता, सास और बहू में झगड़ा होता है. ठीक है. And if you just edit the video, I'll request this portion to be edited. It's my personal experience in UPSC interview board. If a girl is facing an interview board with a women chairman, नंबर कटेंगे, बिना मतलब नंबर कटेंगे. I don't know why, but I have seen this.
Sir, reverse is correct also.
No.
Sir, reverse is correct.
No. नहीं, हाँ. If a man is facing a women board, normal rating evaluation. But if a girl is facing an interview board and the chairperson is a woman, even if the other 4 members are willing to give her more marks, she will intervene, jump in between. ना, क्यों? किस लिए? I don't know why. ठीक है. Maybe she can't see anybody else as successful as she is. So pray to God you get a male chairman. ठीक है. नहीं तो फिर क्या होगा? 15-20 नंबर खामोखा कट जाएंगे जो आपको मिल सकते थे. Now, why this happens? Because for having given birth to a daughter, the mother is stigmatized by the society, and she gets a respectful identity only when she gives birth to a male child. Therefore, with passage of time, the mother herself develops negative attitude towards the daughter. मर क्यों नहीं गई? ऐसा भी बोलती है. करमजली मर क्यों नहीं गई? तेरी वजह से मेरे जीवन में इतने दुख. So she gets antagonistic with her own daughter, and therefore gets ready to conceive the very next year, leaving behind the lactating daughter, starved, hungry. So if you look at the child mortality rate, CMR, that is death of children below 5 years, you will find most of them are girls. Why? Because the mother is willing to conceive the very next year of the birth of the daughter in expectation of a boy child, leaving behind the lactating infant hungry. And because of this malnutrition, the child mortality rate in India is higher for girls as compared to boys. However, girls who survive the age of 5 years have a longer life as compared to boys. And that's because boys have various bad habits. So the life expectancy of girls is always, women are always higher than men.
So girls also
only because,
girls also have that kind of not eating in proper time, everything they can do, fasting many time.
हाँ नहीं, देखो boys का क्या है ना कि they go out for work life, they travel here and there, so they are more prone to infections, diseases, so mortality rate all over the world, the life expectancy of women is higher as compared to men. If simple एक hospital चले जाओ, you visit an ICU in hospital, say a heart cardio ICU, जो आखिरी सांस लेता हुआ हिचकी लेता हुआ पेशेंट होगा ना, वो वुमेन नहीं होगी, वो कोई मैन ही होगा. ठीक है. आपको so normally they won't die. Sorry. सैम हंस रहा है. So now, if we come to agricultural sector of this country, 70% of the agricultural laborers, 70% of the agricultural laborers are women. Which women? SC, ST women. They are agricultural laborers. They don't have the ownership of the land. While ownership of the land belongs to males, 70% of the agricultural workers are SC/ST women in this country. And this women workforce is not allowed to operate with machines. They are not allowed to operate with machines on the field. So they can't move a tractor, they can't operate on harvesters, they can't operate with threshers. So all the manual labor is done by these 70% SC/ST women. The tedious work, the tiring work, like weeding, transplantation of rice, ठीक है, weeding, घास निकालना, transplantation of rice, etc., etc. And men work with machine during the morning and evening times, while the hot afternoon are left for agricultural laborers who are mostly women. And this kind of manual labor requires women to sit for long period of time. बैठे बैठे काम करना पड़ता है, बैठ के काम करना पड़ता है. As a consequence, Ratnagiri studies have revealed that maximum number of stillbirths, stillbirth मतलब मरा हुआ बच्चा पैदा होना, maximum number of stillbirths take place during the sowing season of rice, because they have to offer the manual labor. Maximum number of stillbirths in India take place during the sowing season of rice, wherein women have to sit for long time in the same posture to transplant the rice. So in many ways, Islam is much liberated religion when it comes to gender discrimination. At least there is no system of dowry. So girl child is not seen as a burden. Okay? Girl child is not seen as a burden. And I don't know if I mentioned about that, the doctor's behavior when my daughter was born. मैंने बोला था आपको? Okay. The day my daughter was born in the hospital, I smuggled a box of sweet to distribute in the ward. Now, although they don't allow that you distribute sweet, but मैं हूँ, मैंने अंदर कर लिया, कैसे कर लिया वो छोड़ दो मेरे को, ठीक है. उतना सिक्योरिटी में भी मैंने एक बक्सा मिठाई अंदर में लेके गया, and I started distributing to the all staff of the hospital, everybody who was around. Now there was a lady doctor. She was not my wife's doctor, but she was a senior doctor, lady doctor, gynae. She was handling some other patient, so I offered her sweets, and she smiled and took the sweet and said, "Mubarak ho, beta hua hai." मतलब मिठाई बांट रहे हैं, इसका मतलब बेटा हुआ है. And look who is saying. A lady doctor is saying this. I said, नहीं मैम, बेटी हुई है. And she felt so ashamed of her statement. वो तुरंत वहां से निकल गई, एकदम मुझे फेस ही नहीं किया, ऐसे चली गई. मैंने कहा ये क्या बात है यार? Means if a father is distributing sweet, it has to be a boy. मतलब क्या माइंडसेट है? पढ़ी लिखी डॉक्टर, उतने सीनियर डॉक्टर है, वो भी लेडी डॉक्टर है. मतलब अपने विमेन होने पे शर्म. This shows the inferiority complex women themselves have towards the female gender. And this is what is known as pseudo-femininity. So I really feel very angry and pity when a girl tells me that we are no less than boys. It's like Pakistan telling we are no less than India. That shows the inferiority complex. Yeah, why are you leading a men-centric life? We are no less than men, as if men are the benchmark to compare with. क्या होना चाहिए? ये स्टेटमेंट कभी मत देना. मेरी एक स्टूडेंट थी, आईपीएस बन गई. उसको बोर्ड में पूछा that you are a girl, how do we consider you for IAS IPS like job which requires huge amount of involvement and time? After all, you're a woman, you have to handle the family responsibility. How can you be a better choice than a male candidate? The board asked her. And you know what she said? That, sir, as of now, whatever I have understood out of civil services and what I expect from a civil servant is compassion. And I don't think that there can be more compassionate person like a woman. I have grown up seeing my mother. I have never found somebody more compassionate than my mother. इसी बात पे उसको 170 नंबर दिया इंटरव्यू बोर्ड में, सिलेक्शन हो गया, 10 नंबर और मिलता आईएएस बन जाती. Are you getting it? She never compared herself with any men. She said that women are better than men. हम किसी मामले में भी कम नहीं. ये दिखाई दे रहा है कि आप कितने कम हैं. तो ये स्टेटमेंट बोलना छोड़ दो. ठीक है? That is pseudo femininity, comparing yourself always with men. Well, both have qualitative differences, both are unique in personalities. There should be mutual respect for each other, right? Okay. So these were the types of gender discrimination. And now, the topic of managing diversity, that is how to eliminate gender discrimination, managing diversity, is in your syllabus, and it is repeated in your syllabus in 2 occasions. One is in gender psychology, another is in work psychology and organizational behavior. So managing diversity, I will take up this topic in work psychology, how to handle with gender issues, how to be gender sensitive. But here I would definitely like to give you the concept given by Sandra Bem. Sandra Bem is a feminine psychologist. She's a living legend from America, and if you happen to watch Discovery, you might see her repeatedly. Sandra Bem have developed a branch of psychology which is known as androgyny by taking inspiration from Carl Jung. So if you remember the archetypes of animus and anima, you must remember that every woman has a masculine part in her personality and every man has a feminine part in his personality. So androgyny deals with measuring and regulating the animus and anima in human personality. Measuring and regulating the animus and anima in human personality. So what is done? Men are given training for cultivating the feminine traits of politeness, gentleness, kindness, softness. Men are trained for gentleness, politeness, kindness, and softness, while female workers are trained for competence, assertiveness. While female workers are trained for competence, assertiveness, reactiveness. So that females can increase their masculinity and males can increase their femininity. And they are brought to 50-50. 50% man, 50% woman should exist in every individual. Ye hota hai androgyny. Now, Sandra Bem has given a very nice statement. I would like all of you to consider this seriously. Sandra Bem said that no doubt that America has traveled miles in bringing gender equality. As compared to the rest of the world, America has relatively very higher degree of gender equality, but yet absolute equality is far from being reached. So despite Americans being so liberated in terms of gender equality, absolute equality is far from reach. And she says that American parents have learned how to rear their girl child like boys. American parents have learned how to rear their girl child as boys. अपनी बेटियों को बेटों की तरफ बड़ा करना तो अमेरिकन सीख गए. But this is not enough. Gender equality will come when American parents learn to rear their boy child like girls. समझ रहे हो क्या बात बोल रही है? Gender equality and respect for women will come when American parents learn to nurture their boy child like daughters. ठीक है? तभी वो रेस्पेक्ट सीखेंगे. बैठने का तहजीब, उठने का तहजीब, शर्म, लिहाज, ये और लड़की को ही सिखाया जाता है. लड़के को क्यों नहीं सिखाया जाता है? उसको सिखाया जाए तो वो भी समझेगा इन चीजों की वैल्यू. Are you getting it? So Sandra Bem is a feminine psychologist. She is a living legend in fact. आपने देखा नहीं कभी डिस्कवरी में इनको? देखना कभी डिस्कवरी चैनल में frequently she comes visiting. So this is all about gender psychology. So as I said, this topic was introduced in 2011, gender psychology, and propensity of questions is very frequent. ठीक है? Today I'll obtain the question bank and maybe in day or two I'll be discussing the past questions. So today we shall start with community psychology.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay, sir, I have a doubt on this homemaker. You gave an example. So my doubt is that unless a homemaker is financially stable, no one is recognizing her work.
Yes.
So can you give your opinion on whether a homemaker should be paid or not, or if paid, this
She
lots
should
of
be
other
paid.
things?
She should be paid. See, what happens in rural India, especially, I'm talking about the rural India. The husband carries the money and his spending patterns are mostly on himself. He would drink and finish the money. But if that money was left with the housewife, with the women in the home, at least that money could have been used for education of children. So I sincerely believe that there should be some legal enforcement that a percentage of income of the husband, if he is working, should be mandatorily paid in the account of wife. वाइफ के अकाउंट में एक लमसम अमाउंट हर महीने जाना ही चाहिए, क्योंकि वो उसका हक है और उसके अकाउंट में जाएगा तो बच्चे भी पढ़ेंगे. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome. ठीक है, मैं अपनी बात कर रहा हूं यार. मुझे होश नहीं रहता कि बेटी का फीस कब देना है. मेरी वाइफ को रहता है कि बच्चे का फीस देना है. 3 महीने का फीस इकट्ठे लेते हैं. मुझे पता ही नहीं रहता 3 महीना कब बीत गया. तो वो जो बारीकियां होती है ना कि ये चीज को देखना है, वो हम मर्दों में नहीं आ सकता है, क्योंकि होते हैं एकदम मतलब इधर उधर, कभी ध्यान इधर कभी ध्यान उधर, एक जगह पे फोकस नहीं होता है. Men lack focus. There is no doubt on that. They get easily distracted. Okay. Huh? Between whom? हाँ हाँ हाँ, तुम्हें घर पे तो कोई ध्यान ही नहीं रहता है. नहीं, देखो, who will pay मतलब क्या? अगर एक आदमी कमा रहा है तो वही पे करेगा ना. नहीं, तो उसके लिए भी अरेंजमेंट है. सुनो, उसके लिए अरेंजमेंट क्या है, दैट एवरी मंथ यू पे अ लमसम अमाउंट टू योर वाइफ एंड टेल हर दैट दीज एक्सपेंसेस आर योर रिस्पांसिबिलिटीज. दैट कैन बी डन. ठीक है. तो मुझे तो सब पता नहीं होता, क्योंकि मेरे पास कुछ होता ही नहीं. मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मेरे जेब में जो मेरी वाइफ डाल देती है पर्स में पैसा वही रहता है. आई डोंट हैव एक्सेस टू इवन कार्ड. ठीक है. एक दिन क्या हुआ कि मैं पर्स लेना भूल गया और मैं चला गया पेट्रोल पंप और मैंने फुल टैंक डीजल भरवा लिया गाड़ी में और देखता क्या हूं कि पर्स है नहीं. तो मैं क्या करता, मैंने कहा भाई मैं पर्स नहीं लाया हूं, तू मेरा घड़ी रख ले, मैं कल लाके दे दूंगा तुझे पैसे। हाँ, तो मैं घड़ी देके चला आया। अच्छा, अगले दिन जब मैं पैसे देने गया तो वो लड़का आ ही नहीं रहा मेरे सामने। उसने घड़ी का कीमत पता कर लिया और उसको लगा कि अरे 5,000 का डीजल भरवाया है, ये 15,000 का घड़ी है, क्यों दे इसे। मैंने बहुत रिक्वेस्ट किया, भाई दे दे। हाँ मिल गया। अभी नहीं पहना हूं मैंने, वो पोर्सलिन का घड़ी था, वो लेदर का नहीं था, पोर्सलिन का घड़ी था। उसका एक्चुअली घड़ी उतनी महंगी नहीं थी, वो चेन महंगा था। अभी तो पहनना छोड़ दिया, बहुत हैवी था, उसके लिए थोड़ा मसल वसल चाहिए तब वो घड़ी पहन सकते हैं। ओके, सो we will discuss community psychology. Is somebody carrying the question bank? Nobody? क्वेश्चन बैंक है तो आपके पास साइकोलॉजी का, कल लेके आइएगा, ठीक है। सो लेट अस सी द टॉपिक ऑफ कम्युनिटी साइकोलॉजी, व्हाट इज इट ऑल अबाउट। रोल, scope, goal of community psychology. I'll be writing CP for community psychology. Role, scope, and goal of community psychology, one question. Small group in social action. One question. Social change. One question. Leadership and social change. One question. Resistance to social change. One question. Resistance to social change, one question. Now here, there are two aspects, small group and social change, leadership and social change. How do small groups bring about social change, and how does a single leader can bring about social change? Okay, this is the topic all about. And it is a very comprehensive topic, and you will definitely get at least 3 questions every year from this topic of community psychology. And if you prepare this topic, you may safely leave the psychology of disadvantaged. उसको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं, आप उसको आराम से छोड़ सकते हैं अगर आपने ये कर दिया, ठीक है। So first of all, we will begin with scope and role of community psychology. Every year, there is requirement of almost 1 lakh community psychologists in the country. 1 lakh. पूरे भारतवर्ष में 1 लाख कम्युनिटी साइकोलॉजिस्ट की जरूरत होती है हर साल. Working either in hospitals, working either in group at risk, working either in rural areas, and mostly they are given a very informal training. They are not doctorates in psychology. They are given a very informal training, and they help out people to mend their lives. So definitely 20 years down the line, this field of community psychology is going to be as celebrated as clinical psychology. When people will have professional degrees and they will have gadgeted posts, allotted for them. अभी तो भाई voluntary level पे जो लोग आते हैं उनको 1 महीना 1.5 महीने का ट्रेनिंग देके कम्युनिटी के वर्क पे लगा दिया जाता है. ठीक है. So we will look at what is community psychology. Community psychology is defined. Community psychology is defined as understanding human behavior. Community psychology is defined as understanding human behavior in their social context, in their social environment. Understanding human behavior in their social environment. Community refers to a group of people. Community refers to a group of people, that is collectives. Community refers to a group of people, that is collectives, who share common identity, common problems, common identity, common problems, and who follow common norms. And who follow common norms. That is the definition of community. Okay. Now, how many of you are from North India? Raise your hand. Northern part of India. Okay. So suppose there is some kind of function in your family. You are the host and you have invited a lot of guests. It's a marriage party or some other kind of function. And you are hosting a dinner. Okay. So what all would you like to keep in the menu? बताइए शर्माई मत, क्या क्या रहेगा मेनू में? आप होस्ट है भाई. हाँ, शाही पनीर, राइट. शाही पनीर इज वन ऑफ देम. व्हाट एल्स? ए यार, रसगुल्ला कहाँ? डेजर्ट पहले मत बताओ यार, मैं मेन कोर्स की बात कर रहा हूँ. डेजर्ट रसगुल्ला. हाँ, क्या रहेगा? दाल मखनी. और क्या रहेगा? नान, है ना? हाँ, नॉनवेज भी हो सकता है, लेकिन चलो कम्युनिटी लेवल पे बात हो रही, नॉनवेज छोड़ देते हैं. ठीक है. दाल मखनी, शाही पनीर, नान. और क्या रहेगा? छोले. और मशरूम. देखो ये कॉमन ओपिनियन निकल के आ रहा है ना? दिस इज कम्युनिटी. दिस सेंस इज कम्युनिटी. अब अगर इसमें एक भी आइटम रह गया ना, तो कम्युनिटी में आपकी इज्जत की भाजी पाला हो जाएगा. हाँ, देखो उसके पार्टी में गए थे, वहां तो पनीर था ही नहीं. पनीर नहीं था तो आप एक पैसे का आपका इज्जत नहीं है. आपका सारा इज्जत उस पनीर में छुपा हुआ था. And the paneer was missing, so you have no respect in this community. This sense of groupiness is called community. Common choices are coming out, isn't it? My daughter went to her friend's birthday party, and my brother-in-law, मतलब उसका मामा, वो बहुत ईगर रहता है कि क्या हुआ पार्टी में, क्या क्या खाया. ठीक है ना? So my daughter said, we had pizza party, and he was the person who brought the gift. वो उसके फ्रेंड के लिए गिफ्ट यही खरीद के लाया था, मेरा ब्रदर इन लॉ. इतना घूम घूम के मैं इतना महंगा गिफ्ट खरीद के लाया पिज्जा खाने के लिए. मतलब पिज्जा कैसे कोई खिला सकता है पार्टी में? मतलब he just can't believe it. क्योंकि उसका कम्युनिटी अलग था, वो अपने जमाने में बड़ा हुआ था, उसका कम्युनिटी अलग था, अभी का कम्युनिटी अलग है। यहाँ लोग पिज्जा खा के खुश हो जाते। कितने लोगों को पिज्जा पसंद है? अच्छा, पता नहीं, शायद अच्छा होगा। नहीं, आफ्टर ऑल इतना अच्छा बिजनेस है, अच्छा कुछ होगा तभी तो। Goal of community psychology are as follows. Enhance the sense of well-being. Enhance the sense of well-being of the individual. Enhance the sense of well-being of the individual through community development. Enhance the sense of well-being of the individual through community development. Now I'll tell you what is this. When I was buying a property in Delhi, I happened to get a very nice property in Delhi out of peanut prices. A price which I could any day very easily afford. And it was a beautiful property and a big property. Everything was set and done. I'm going to buy that property. But then when I visited that area and I saw my neighborhood, the potential neighborhood, I found that my child will get spoiled if I stay in this place. And I sensed a significant degree of lack of satisfaction and somewhat insecurity if I stay in that property. So it would be like I have to confine myself within the boundary walls of my house. And it will be like living in an island, disassociated with neighborhood. And if you get disassociated with neighborhood, neighbors are always envious and jealous. And they might not do any harm personally, but they might be enabling factors that can harm my family. So I just left that property. Now the property in which I am living currently, it's not that big as the one I'm talking about. Neither it is so magnificent, but at least I am living in a community of educated people, well-mannered people, decent people. So it's being like, even if I'm not at home, I'm outstation, I can be rest assured that my family is safe. My daughter will be playing with children who are good children, who have some values, who are coming from such homes. So my sense of well-being is well nested within the community in which I stay. तो दिल्ली में ऐसा नहीं है कि प्रॉपर्टी बहुत महंगा है, आपको बहुत अच्छा अच्छा प्रॉपर्टी मिल जाएगा, लेकिन आप आसपास देखेंगे ना, फिर आपको समझ में आएगा कि यहाँ नहीं रहा जा सकता है। ये कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट की कमी है। अगर कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट हो जाए तो आप रह सकते हैं। अब मैं आपको छोटी छोटी बात बताता हूँ। जब मैं आया था स्टूडेंट बन के, यहाँ पे बन के क्या, मैं स्टूडेंट ही था, दिल्ली आया था तैयारी करने के लिए। सो आई वाज स्टेइंग इन मुखर्जी नगर, इन वन ऑफ द फ्लैट्स ऑफ मुखर्जी नगर. You know, the landlady, the landlord died. He was very rich and successful person, but after his death, the landlady was very poorly treated by her sons. She had 2 sons. So I used to stay in first floor, and the landlady used to stay in ground floor with her sons. And the elder son was an alcoholic. So every evening, he would physically beat his mother. And I could see it because there was a grill in the floor through which everything was visible. Now, one day I just lost my patience and I went downstairs and I physically assaulted that boy who used to beat his mother, because that was quite strange in my culture. कि हमारे culture में ऐसा कभी होता नहीं था. And I called the police also. And this mother refused to accept that the son used to beat her. माँ है ना, वो मना कर दी पुलिस को। तो पुलिस वाला बोला हमको, मुझे, क्यों दूसरे के पचड़े में पड़ते हैं, मत पड़िए। तो मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूं, अच्छा वैसे कम्युनिटी में मैं कभी नहीं चाहूंगा कि मेरा बच्चा बड़ा हो। वो बच्चा क्या देखेगा और क्या सीखेगा? सो योर ओन डेवलपमेंट, सेंस ऑफ वेलबींग to a large extent depends upon your neighborhood, who are the people around you with whom you live. One of the reason for the success of the TV serial Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma is very healthy community which they show. Have you seen that? क्या दिखाते क्या है लोग, क्यों देखते हैं ऐसा बेवकूफी बड़ा बड़ा सीरियल जिसमें कोई स्टोरी है ही नहीं, देयर इज नो स्टोरी लाइन, लेकिन वो इतना उसका टीआरपी हाई है, क्यों? क्योंकि एक अच्छा कम्युनिटी देखने को मिलता है लोगों को। Are you getting it? So raising the sense of well-being of individual through community development program. Identifying, second goal is identifying the problems existing in community, identifying the problems existing in community and eradicating them with help of the community, and eradicating them with help of the community. Now here I would like to give you a recent example.
Sir, eradicating then?
Eradicating them with the help of the community. So within past 1 year, what has happened in my society where I live? It's a forted society, gated society. Now, a lot of dogs, the population of dogs have increased, and it has especially increased because of dog lugging people living in my neighborhood. So they feed those stray dogs. Now, the dogs have become a menace in the society. They have started attacking the citizens, the residents, and especially small children who go out for playing in the park. They have suffered dog bite. Children, women especially, and evening walk, morning walk, every person who goes out for walk carries a stick in his hand. So there is persistent complaint which is coming on the part of the residents to the RWA, that is Resident Welfare Association, that do something about the dogs. So the matter was reported to Municipal Corporation of Delhi, following which they sent a vehicle to capture those dogs. Now, when the vehicle came, there were many residents who came forward to resist. They said, no, they're like our family members, you just can't take them away. Okay. But there were more number of people who were in the view that please take them away. So few dogs were captured and they were sterilized so that they can't produce children. And then they were left back. But still, the incidences of dog bite continued. So once again, the MCD was informed, and this time, those residents who were dog lovers, they hired lawyers who sent notice to the secretary of the society that you will be sued for your cruelty against animals. भाई आप जानवरों के साथ क्रुएलिटी नहीं कर सकते। तो सेक्रेटरी ने कहा और जानवर क्रुएलिटी करता है सो ठीक है, ठीक है, मतलब इतना हसल बसल होने लगा। Then secretary, what he did, he said, okay, we will go by popular opinion. So the secretary sent a form to every house that please post your suggestion that what is the solution. And most of the people were divided in opinion. Some people said that remove the dogs. Some people said kill the dogs. Some people said no, let us live with the dogs. ये 3 opinion निकल के आया, ठीक है। Thankfully मैंने कुछ अच्छा सुझाव दिया. And what I said, people who are dog lovers, please come for a meeting in the evening, because I personally also am a dog lover, but I also love human beings equally, even more than dogs. So let us train the dogs how to be human friendly. Not all dogs bite in the society. There are 4 dogs who have been identified. They are the attackers. So why these 4 dogs have been attackers? क्या गलत गड़बड़ क्या हो गया इनके साथ? ठीक है, उनको कैसे मैं ह्यूमन फ्रेंडली बिहेवियर सिखाना है, उतना ही तो सिखाना है और कुछ नहीं करना है. And let there be a common space where people will put the food for all the dogs. ये नहीं कि घर घर में बुला बुला के कुत्ते को खाना खिला रहे हैं. एक जगह बना दो, वहां पे हर कुत्ता खाना खाएगा, आपस में लड़ेंगे भी नहीं. After a month, those 4 dogs have been so much domesticated that they no longer attack. अब वो अटैक नहीं करते. वैसे मैं आपको बता दूं, कुत्ता अगर अटैक करे तो बचने का क्या तरीका है पता है आपको? देख लो, कुत्ता हो या कोई भी जानवर हो, लाइक हॉर्स, उनका सबसे सेंसिटिव एरिया होता ही है. जस्ट पुट योर हैंड इनसाइड द जॉस एंड होल्ड द लोअर जॉ. इफ यू कैन होल्ड द लोअर जॉ, अगर ग्रिप में ले लिया लोअर जॉ को, कुत्ता अपर जॉ में उसका कोई ताकत नहीं हो तो नहीं काट सकता. उसके बाद उसको घुमा दो, ऐसा लेट जाएगा वो, कितना भी ताकतवर कुत्ता हो. हाँ हाँ, नहीं, तुम दांत क्यों पकड़ोगे? तुम उसका जॉ पकड़ो ना. वो दांत दबाएगा तब तो तुम्हारे हाथ में जाएगा. हाँ, ये देखो, ये केनाइन है, ये इंसाइजर है. इंसाइजर छोड़ करके ये जो प्लेन टीथ है, मोलार पकड़ लो. ठीक है, ऐसा तुमने जॉ पकड़ लिया उसका. ऊपर वाले से वो कुछ नहीं कर सकता. तुम ऊपर वाला में उसका ताकत नहीं होता, वो नीचे वाला ही हिलाने की कोशिश करेगा. तुम उसको पकड़ लो, फिर उसको घुमा दो, लेट जाएगा. 30 सेकंड ऐसा पोजीशन में रखोगे, वो कुत्ता डर जाएगा तुमसे. ये मतलब एक डॉग रखने वाला आदमी का एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा है, मैं तुमको बता रहा हूं. ठीक है, लोअर जॉ, किसी भी जानवर का जॉस पे अटैक करो. घोड़े इतने बड़े ताकतवर घोड़े को कैसे घुड़सवार कंट्रोल कर लेता है? यहां पे उसका रिकाब लगा देता है. ये खींचो, कुत्ता घोड़ा कुछ नहीं करेगा. ओके, एनीवेज, घोड़ा कुत्ता क्या अजीब अजीब एग्जांपल मैं दे रहा हूं. गाइड द कम्युनिटी. bringing social justice bringing social justice to ensure harmonious living. Bringing social justice to ensure harmonious living. What is social justice? Equity. It's not equality, it's equity. So if a person is a part of your community, he should not be deprived of the basic civic amenities. Because if he is deprived of basic civic amenities, he will compare himself with you, because you are also belonging to the same community. And then this will produce frustration, envy, jealousy, aggression, and that leads to law and order problem. For example, why Delhi has seen so brutal rapes? Why so cruelty against women? What is the reason? The reason is the expanding city. The builders acquire the land of farmers at a cheaper price and then built upon it skyscrapers, multi-stories. When the farmer sees that in his own land people are living such a glamorous life, feels frustrated, anger, and therefore they keep attacking the urban dwellers. They keep attacking the urban dwellers. Now see, rape might be a sexual behavior, but brutal rape is an aggressive behavior. That shows that there is a lot of resentment and anger amongst people who are living in slums, who were once the owners of the land. ठीक है, इनमें गुस्सा है, क्रोध है. और ये क्रोध क्यों आ रहा है? क्योंकि सोशल जस्टिस नहीं है. सोशल जस्टिस अगर होगा, क्रोध किसी को नहीं होगा. And I have seen personally, if you do not pay your employees, your staff well, they start stealing. They start stealing without feeling of any guilt, because they think that it is a compensation that they deserve. So social justice is a way of progressing everybody. Thankfully मेरे कम्युनिटी में एक चीज तो है कि जिस सोसाइटी में हम लोग थे उस समय हर सोसाइटी ने डोमेस्टिक सर्वेंट्स को आना मना कर दिया था. ड्राइवर, डोमेस्टिक हेल्प कैनॉट एंटर द प्रेमाइसेस. सोसाइटी गेट के अंदर अलाउ करना बंद कर दिया था. बट माय सोसाइटी वाज लेफ्ट ऑन द ओनर्स. इफ यू वांट योर डोमेस्टिक हेल्प एट होम, इवन ड्यूरिंग द फर्स्ट वेव, यू कैन कॉल देम, नो प्रॉब्लम. तो किसी भी दिन आई डिडंट हैव टू डिसएंगेज माय एनी स्टाफ फ्रॉम वर्क. मुझे किसी भी दिन किसी को छुट्टी देने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. ये अलग बात है कि मैंने छुट्टी दे दिया था, कोरोना का टाइम है मत आओ, लेकिन कोई वादा नहीं था कि आप नहीं आ सकते मेरे पास. ठीक है, तो ये क्यों था? क्योंकि सोशल जस्टिस को ध्यान में रखा गया था. राइट. No, you remove, you don't ask them to come to the work, but then you continue to pay them. Now, there are many people who don't pay the staff unless they come to work. At least in my society, that kind of mindset doesn't exist. People did pay their staff. In fact, my staff themselves told me that, sir, don't give us full salary. 50% दो सर, काम कर नहीं रहे हैं, ऐसे लेने में अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. मैंने कहा 50% में तुम्हारा काम हो जाएगा? बोला हाँ सर, रेंट भरने की जरूरत नहीं है, रेंट माफ कर दिया. तो उन्होंने बोला 50%, 50% पेमेंट किया. लेकिन एकदम पेमेंट नहीं करना किसी को, ऑल ऑफ अ सडन आप उसका रोजी रोटी रोक दो, तो वो तो क्राइम करेगा ना. आप देखो, मेरा ड्राइवर, मेरा डोमेस्टिक हेल्प, वो सब पता है. मेरे घर का अलमीरा कहाँ है उसको पता है, पैसा कहाँ रखा होता पता है, गन कहाँ है उसको पता है. अगर उसके इरादे खराब हो जाए तो उसको 1 मिनट नहीं लगेगा मेरे परिवार को साफ करके निकल जाए. उसको तो परिवार वाला समझना है ना. So that is social justice. It prevents a lot of law and order problems. So anyways, this was the goal of community psychology, and now we will discuss the scope and role of community psychology. Scope and role of community psychology. Addressal of problems. Addressal of problems like oppression, marginalization, dislocation, misery and sufferings, etc. Oppression, atyachar. Marginalization means getting cornered in the society. Dislocation means pushing somebody away from his motherland. Misery and suffering, like people who stay in the refugee camps or people who are homeless, their miseries and their sufferings. Okay. इधर निगमबोध घाट के सामने आईएसबीटी से थोड़ा आगे आप देखेंगे कई लोग फुटपाथ पे रहते हैं और सर्दियों में बेचारों के पास कपड़े भी नहीं होते, अखबार, न्यूज़पेपर, दे ट्राई टू कवर देयर बॉडी विथ न्यूज़पेपर. So whatever woolens and warm clothes I have at home, I carry it and I distribute it amongst them every winter. This time what happened, I thought of distributing some clothes to one person I identified. So I thought that tomorrow I'll get the clothes for him. Next day when I went, he was not there. I didn't find him. So I asked the tea stall person that ये जो यहाँ बैठता था कहाँ गया? बोला वो तो कल रात ही निकल लिया. रात को ही मर गया, ठंड के मारे मर गया. तो आप सोचो that if we are alive, if we have survived even the winter, we are lucky. There are people who are not very sure that whether they will survive this winter. It's like I just read King Louis XV of France. I was reading a novel regarding Louis XV. So in those days, people did not remember their age. If you ask him, how old are you? So they will not tell you 20 years, 25 years. They would tell you that almost I have survived 25 winters. So surviving winters used to be a challenge during those days. It's the same for those people who are homeless. So misery and suffering, okay? Addressing the problems of these kind of people. And second scope and role of community psychology is to help stand against the dominant cultural narrative. To help stand against the dominant cultural narrative that attempts to create just world bias, to help stand against the dominant cultural narrative. I'll explain you what is dominant cultural narrative. Dominant cultural narrative is propagated by the majority or the advantaged section of the population. Narrative is a story, cultural story that does not have any scientific proof. It is propagated by the majority, by the powerful people, in order to carry ahead with just world bias. So first of all, I'll tell you what is just world bias, and then I'll tell you what is dominant cultural narrative. Just world bias is the tendency to believe that people get what they deserve and people deserve what they get. Just world bias is the tendency to believe that people get what they deserve and people deserve what they get.
एक बार रिपीट कीजिए वो just world bias.
Just world bias is the tendency to believe that people get what they deserve and people deserve what they get. So if women receive an inferior treatment, they deserve it. And because they deserve an inferior treatment, they get an inferior treatment. So everything is fair. Nothing is wrong. Everything is justified. Just world bias. Now, men will definitely have a convenient living. Men will definitely have a comfortable life if they can keep propagating this just world bias. So, dominant cultural narrative. Like the scholarly person Tulsidas, जिन्होंने रामचरितमानस का निर्माण किया, he made a statement. Have you heard that statement? ढोल, पशु, शूद्र और नारी, ये सारे तारण के अधिकारी. ढोल, pashu means animal, shudra means lower caste, and nari means women. All of them ताड़न के अधिकारी, they must be tortured, they must be oppressed. इनको अगर पीटोगे नहीं तो ये कंट्रोल में नहीं रहेंगे, ये सारे तारण के अधिकारी. Now this narrative or this slok or this muhavra was given by Tulsidas in some context, and now the male dominated society would use this narrative to continue exploitation and oppression of women. ढोल, पशु, शूद्र और नारी, छोटी जात, women, जानवर और ढोल, इनको जब तक लाठी नहीं चलाओगे ये बजेंगे नहीं. Are you getting it? And these kind of cultural narratives try to promote just world bias. For example, people belonging to upper caste often protest against reservation policy, saying that, well, lower caste people do not have merit, so they don't deserve higher positions of power. They will have this tendency to believe. This is called just world bias, okay? Or just world belief. Third one, to address power inequality. To address power inequality. Asymmetric power relations. Asymmetric power relations between the privileged and the disadvantaged. The asymmetric power relationships between the privileged and the disadvantaged so privileged sections have some additional powers as compared to disadvantaged, despite the fact that both are citizens of this country. Now, being citizens of this country, all have equal rights and equal powers, isn't it? अगर आप citizen हैं, मैं citizen हूं, तो law सबके लिए बराबर है. We all should be equally empowered, but there is asymmetric power relationship between the rich and the poor. As a consequence, what happens? We find gender inequality. Males assume themselves with greater powers as compared to women. Gender inequality is example of power inequality. ठीक है? Generation gap. Generation gap. Poor treatment given to LGBT and prostitutes. Poor treatment given to LGBT and prostitutes. So a corrupt individual is accepted in the colony, in the society. But if a prostitute is discovered in the colony or the society, she will be evicted from the place. तो कोई करप्शन का आरोपी है आपके नेबरहुड में, आप उसको रेस्पेक्ट के साथ रखेंगे. किसी के बारे में पता चला प्रोस्टिट्यूट है, तो ये शरीफों का मोहल्ला है, आप यहाँ नहीं रह सकते. Are you getting it? So asymmetric power relationship. Now, what happens? The disadvantaged sections have internalized the sense of inferiority. The disadvantaged sections have internalized the sense of inferiority, and therefore have developed a self-blame, that makes them accept the oppression, that makes them accept the oppression as a verdict of destiny. That make them accept the oppression as verdict of destiny. So the disadvantaged sections have internalized this sense of inferiority, that yes, we are actually inferior. And because we are inferior, we deserve this kind of treatment. That's the reason Swami Vivekananda said that oppressed individual is a bigger sinner than the oppressor. अत्याचार सहने को अपना भाग्य मान लिया है, ठीक है? So these are the three scopes, objectives, goals, or roles of community psychology. And tomorrow we will see the methods that are adopted by community psychology, how they achieve these objectives. Okay. Tomorrow we'll start the class a bit earlier. Thank you. Online, today no questions came from your end.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I am audible.
Please.
Sir, in the community psychology, in the syllabus notes, there is shown that.
Just a moment. Please listen to a question. Yeah.
Not a question, sir. I am just taking a suggestion for a book that is written in syllabus. That is Girsavar Misra.
Girishwar Mishra.
Yeah, sir.
You can read the book, but it is very exhaustive, I guess.
Then from where we have to do community psychology?
Just participate in the class. It's a very open-ended topic. If you go reading for community psychology, you don't have wait in the finishing line. So it's better that you just participate in the class. We will take 4 lectures and we will conclude it.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Village community is always more empowered as compared to urban community, because in urban community there is lack of social cohesion. And the reason is cost of living is very high. You can't afford to socialize.